Holiday decorations often cost hundreds of dollars and last barely a few weeks. But growing Christmas plants in containers can transform a home for months while saving money. Many believe festive plants are difficult or require special conditions. Yet container growing makes holiday greenery accessible to anyone with a windowsill. The right plant selection combined with proper container techniques can create stunning seasonal displays that thrive indoors throughout winter. 7 specific plants stand out for their reliability, visual impact, and ease of care when grown in pots. Understanding their requirements, container needs, and care schedules can turn any space into a festive environment without the complexity many gardeners fear. These plants offer more than decoration. They provide living color, fragrance, and texture that artificial alternatives cannot match, while teaching valuable lessons about seasonal plant care that apply year-round. Container cultivation offers distinct advantages for holiday plants that ground planting cannot provide. Temperature control becomes manageable when plants sit in pots that can be moved away from cold drafts or positioned near heat sources as needed. Root zone management improves dramatically because container soil can be customized for each plant's specific pH and drainage requirements, something impossible in garden beds. Mobility allows placement exactly where visual impact matters most: entryways, dining tables, mantels, and repositioning when light conditions change throughout winter. Container growing also enables controlled dormancy for plants that need cold periods, simply by moving pots to unheated spaces like garages or basements. Pest management simplifies considerably because containers isolate plants from soil-borne insects and diseases common in gardens. Water control becomes precise, preventing the overwatering that kills more holiday plants than any other factor. Perhaps most importantly, containers extend growing zones, allowing plants that normally require warmer climates to thrive indoors, regardless of outdoor temperatures. This controlled environment creates success rates far higher than traditional garden cultivation for these specific species. Poinsettia remains the quintessential Christmas container plant, with over 70 million sold annually in North America alone. Success with poinsettias depends entirely on understanding their photoperiod sensitivity. They require 14 hours of complete darkness daily for 8 to 10 weeks before blooming, typically starting in early October. Container size matters significantly. A 6-inch pot suits small plants, while mature specimens need 8 to 10-inch containers with drainage holes. Soil should be peat-based with perlite for drainage, maintaining pH between 5.8 to 6.2. Temperature requirements are strict, daytime temperatures of 65-70 degrees, with nighttime drops to 60-65 degrees can trigger best color development. Watering technique proves critical. Soil should dry slightly between waterings, with water applied until it drains from the bottom, then allowed to drain completely before returning plants to saucers. Overwatering causes root rot within days, visible as wilting despite wet soil. Light exposure needs 6 hours of bright, indirect sunlight daily outside the darkness period. Fertilization should stop during the darkness treatment and resume after Brack's color. Common mistakes include placing plants near heating vents, which causes rapid leaf drop, or in drafty areas near doors where temperature fluctuations stress plants severely. Christmas cactus provides reliable winter blooming with minimal care requirements compared to most holiday plants. These epiphytic cacti need different treatment than desert species. They originate from Brazilian rainforests and require more moisture and less light. Container selection should prioritize width over depth because root systems spread horizontally. Shallow pots, 4 to 6 inches deep, work better than tall containers. Soil mixture should be 60% potting soil, 20% perlite, and 20% orchid bark to mimic natural growing conditions on tree branches. Bloom triggering requires 12 to 14 hours of darkness and temperatures around 50-55 degrees for 4 to 6 weeks, starting in October. Unlike poinsettias, Christmas cactus tolerates some light interruption during this period without complete failure. Watering during active growth should keep soil consistently moist but never saturated, reducing frequency during the cool treatment period. Root rot shows as mushy stem segments that detach easily, indicating severe overwatering. Bud drop occurs when plants experience sudden temperature changes or severe underwatering during bud formation. Light requirements include bright indirect light, with direct sun causing reddish stress coloring on leaf segments. Fertilization with balanced liquid fertilizer at half strength monthly during spring and summer promotes vigorous growth and heavy bud set. Amaryllis bulbs create dramatic focal points with flowers reaching 6 to 8 inches across on stems 18 to 24 inches tall, all from containers barely larger than the bulbs themselves. Bulb selection determines success before planting begins. Larger bulbs produce more flower stalks, with premium bulbs over 32 cm circumference typically producing 2 to 3 stems. Container choice requires specific sizing. Pots should be only 1 to 2 inches wider than the bulb diameter, with the top third of the bulb remaining above soil level. Soil mixture needs excellent drainage. Standard potting soil mixed with 30% perlite or coarse sand prevents the waterlogged conditions that cause bulb rot. Planting depth affects performance significantly. If buried too deeply, bulbs struggle to send up flower stalks and may rot before blooming. Initial watering should be minimal until growth begins, then increased to keep soil evenly moist but not wet. Temperature between 68 to 75 degrees during growth produces strongest stems, while cooler temperatures slow development considerably. Bloom timing is predictable. Flowers appear 6 to 10 weeks after planting, making mid-October planting ideal for Christmas display. Staking becomes necessary as flower stalks elongate, using bamboo stakes and soft ties to prevent toppling from heavy blooms. Post-bloom care involves removing spent flowers while keeping foliage growing to rebuild bulb strength for future blooming cycles. Paperwhite narcissus offers the simplest path to holiday blooms, requiring no cold treatment and producing fragrant flowers within 3 to 5 weeks of planting. These Mediterranean natives can be grown in soil or water, making them accessible even without traditional potting supplies. Water culture method uses decorative containers filled with pebbles or glass beads, with bulbs positioned so roots touch water but bulb bases remain dry. This prevents rot while allowing root development. Soil method requires shallow containers 3 to 4 inches deep, filled with well-draining potting mix, with bulb tips exposed above the surface. Bulb spacing should be close, nearly touching, to create full displays, typically 5 to 7 bulbs per 6-inch container. Room temperature between 60 to 65 degrees Fahrenheit produces strongest stems, while warmer conditions cause elongated, weak stems that require staking. Alcohol solution trick involves replacing plain water with 4–6% alcohol solution, achieved by mixing 1 part vodka or rubbing alcohol with 7 parts water once roots develop, which reduces stem height by 30–40% while maintaining flower quality. Light requirements are moderate. Bright indirect light prevents excessive stretching, while direct sun can be tolerated briefly. Rotating containers daily promotes straight growth rather than leaning toward light sources. Bulbs cannot be rebloomed and should be discarded after flowering since they've depleted energy reserves completely. Norfolk Island pine provides a living Christmas tree alternative suitable for apartments and small spaces, growing in containers for years with proper care. These subtropical conifers require different treatment than hardy evergreens. They tolerate neither freezing temperatures nor extremely dry air. Container size should increase gradually as plants grow, with young plants thriving in 6 to 8 inch pots and mature specimens requiring 12 to 14 inch containers. Soil needs excellent drainage. Cactus mix or potting soil amended with coarse sand and perlite at 40% total volume prevents root rot. Light requirements are significant, 6 hours of bright indirect light daily, ideally from east or west windows, with southern exposure tolerated, if protected from hot afternoon sun. Rotation weekly maintains symmetrical growth, as plants naturally lean toward light sources. Temperature preferences run cool, ideal range 55 to 65 degrees Celsius, tolerating up to 75 degrees Celsius, but suffering in warmer conditions that cause needle drop. Humidity proves critical. These plants require 50% humidity minimum, achieved through daily misting, pebble trays, or room humidifiers. Watering should keep soil evenly moist but not saturated, with drying between waterings causing progressive needle browning from bottom up. Fertilization during spring and summer using acid-loving plant fertilizer at half-strength monthly supports healthy growth. Common failure occurs when plants kept in overly warm, dry rooms lose lower branches progressively until only bare stems remain. This damage is permanent and irreversible. Cyclamen delivers months of continuous blooms in containers when provided with cool temperatures that most homes lack during winter. These tuberous perennials originate from Mediterranean mountain regions where winter temperatures remain cool but frost-free. Container selection should allow tuber visibility. Shallow pots, 6 to 7 inches wide, work better than deep containers, with the top half of the tuber remaining above soil level. Soil mixture must drain rapidly. 50% potting soil, 30% perlite, 20% coarse sand creates ideal structure with pH between 6.0 to 6.5. Temperature requirements prove challenging indoors. Ideal range 50-60 degree hours for longest bloom period, with temperatures above 68 degrees, causing dormancy triggers that end flowering prematurely. Light exposure needs bright indirect light without direct sun, which bleaches flowers and damages foliage. Watering technique determines survival. Water should be applied to the soil surface only, never over the tuber crown, which rots easily when wet. Soil should dry slightly between waterings, checked by inserting a finger 1 inch deep. Yellowing leaves often indicate overwatering rather than underwatering, confirmed by mushy stem bases. Fertilization with high potassium liquid fertilizer at quarter strength weekly during blooming supports continuous flower production. Deadheading removes spent blooms by pulling entire stems with a quick twist rather than cutting, which prevents stem stubs that can rot. Cool bedroom or basement locations extend blooming for 2 to 3 months, while warm living rooms may reduce flowering to just 3-4 weeks. Holly brings traditional Christmas imagery indoors when grown in containers, though berry production requires understanding specific pollination requirements. Container holly needs both male and female plants for berry production. One male can pollinate several females within bee flight distance, though this rarely succeeds indoors. Female cultivars sold for containers are often pre-pollinated or selected for parthenocarpic berry set without fertilization. Container size requirements are substantial, minimum 12-14-inch pots for young plants, increasing to 18 to 20-inch containers as plants mature over several years. Soil should be acidic, pH 5.0 to 6.0, using ericaceous compost or standard potting soil amended with sulfur. Drainage must be excellent. Root rot develops quickly in saturated conditions, visible as yellowing leaves and branch dieback. Temperature tolerance is broad. Holly withstands near freezing to 70 degrees Celsius, making unheated rooms or garages ideal winter locations. Light requirements include 4 to 6 hours of bright light daily, with eastern exposure ideal for preventing leaf scorch. Watering should maintain consistent moisture without saturation, checking soil 2 inches deep before watering. Fertilization with acid-loving plant food in spring supports new growth but should stop by midsummer. Pruning shapes plants and controls size. Late winter or early spring timing prevents removal of developing berries. Yellowing leaves between veins indicates iron chlorosis from alkaline conditions, correctable with chelated iron applications. Berry retention depends on consistent watering. Drought stress causes premature berry drop even when plants appear healthy otherwise. Container maintenance during the holiday season requires adjustments from standard growing practices to accommodate indoor conditions and display needs. Drainage attention becomes critical when decorative cache pots hide functional containers. Water accumulating in outer pots causes root rot within days, requiring removal of plants to empty standing water after each irrigation. Humidity management matters significantly because heating systems reduce indoor humidity to 20 to 30%, while most holiday plants prefer 40–60%. Grouping plants creates localized humidity through transpiration, or pebble trays filled with water but not touching pot bottoms provide passive humidification. Temperature monitoring prevents common mistakes. Placing containers on cold windowsills chills roots, while glass surfaces trap heat from sunlight, creating root zone temperature swings that stress plants more than constant cooler conditions. Fertilization should be minimal during winter months, when most plants show slower growth, reducing to quarter-strength monthly applications, rather than more frequent feeding that causes salt accumulation. Pest vigilance becomes necessary because indoor conditions favor aphid, whitefly, and spider mite populations. Early detection through weekly inspection allows control with insecticidal soap before infestations spread. Rotation of containers maintains even growth and prevents one-sided development, performed weekly for consistent results. Traffic pattern consideration protects plants from damage. High traffic areas near doorways expose plants to cold drafts and physical contact that breaks stems and dislodges leaves. Troubleshooting container. Christmas plants follows predictable patterns once symptoms are correctly identified. Wilting despite moist soil indicates root rot from overwatering. Immediate repotting into fresh, dry soil offers the only recovery chance, with all rotted roots removed. Leaf drop can result from multiple causes: sudden temperature changes, underwatering, overwatering, or insufficient light. Diagnosis requires examining other symptoms like leaf color and soil moisture. Yellowing lower leaves typically signals nitrogen deficiency if upper leaves remain green, or overwatering if yellowing appears on new growth. Brown leaf tips indicate low humidity, correctable with increased misting or humidifier use, while brown leaf edges suggest salt accumulation from over-fertilization. Leaching pots thoroughly with plain water flushes excess salts. Bud drop on Christmas cactus and cyclamen results from temperature fluctuations or drying out during bud development. Maintaining consistent conditions prevents this frustrating problem. Stretching stems with pale green growth indicate insufficient light. Moving plants closer to windows or supplementing with grow lights restores normal growth. Mold on soil surface signals excessive moisture and poor air circulation. Reducing watering frequency and increasing airflow with small fans resolves this cosmetic but concerning issue. Premature dormancy in cyclamen occurs when temperatures exceed 70 degrees Celsius consistently. Moving to cooler locations can sometimes reverse early dormancy if caught quickly. Recovery from stress requires patience. Most plants need 2 to 3 weeks of correct conditions before showing improvement, and damaged tissue never fully recovers, even as new growth appears healthy. Container Christmas plants combine holiday tradition with living beauty that artificial decorations cannot replicate, offering months of enjoyment when matched with proper growing conditions. Success comes from understanding each plant's specific requirements rather than applying generic houseplant care. Temperature, light, water, and humidity needs vary dramatically between these 7 species. Container selection, soil composition, and placement decisions made at planting determine outcomes more than any care provided later. The relatively small investment in quality plants, appropriate containers, and proper soil pays returns through extended bloom periods and years of repeat performance from perennials. Start with the easiest species, paperwhites and Christmas cactus, before attempting more demanding plants like cyclamen and holly. Growing holiday plants develop skills applicable to year-round container gardening and indoor plant care. Consider these plants as both decoration and horticultural education, teaching valuable lessons about plant responses to environmental conditions. For more detailed growing guides, seasonal planting strategies, and troubleshooting advice that saves plants before problems become severe, additional resources provide the depth needed for consistent success.